When he entered the throne, Valentinian II was no more than a child of 4 years. He was elevated just 6 days after the death of Valentinian I on the 22nd of November, 375, by the general of Frankish origin, Merobaudes, a decision backed also by other high-ranking officers of the army. Zosimus, the Byzantine historian, tells us that the reason for this elevation, while there were 2 other emperors reigning, Gratian and Valens, was mainly due to them being far away from the place where Valentinian had died. Soon after, news of both the death of Valentinian I and the elevation of Valentinian II came to Gratian's ears. Gratian, Valentinian II's half-brother, was already made Augustus by his father back in 367, so he was the one with the most rights to the throne. Gratian was outnumbered by the decision, but, as Ammianus Marcellinus tells us in a passage, Gratian, benevolent and pious as he was, loved his half-brother with great piety and educated him. Young as he was, the reign of Valentinian hardly ever places him in a protagonist role. His first years were dominated by his older brother Gratian. Zosimus, however, says that there were provinces handed to him. He would rule over the territories of Praetorian Prefecture of Italy, Africa, Italy, and Illyricum, while Gratian would govern the lands of the Prefecture of Gaul, Hispania, Gaul, and Britannia. In his court in Mediolanum, modern-day Milan, he would be influenced by his mother Justina, an Arian Christian. His mother, according to Rufinus of Aquileia, did the following. She upset the churches and threatened the priests with deposition and exile unless they reinstated the decrees of the Council of Ariminum, by which the faith of the fathers had been violated. Other than that, few can be said about the first years of Valentinian's reign. Later, however, we have detailed accounts. In 383, the usurper Magnus Maximus, of Spanish origin but proclaimed in Britannia, crossed to Gaul and murdered Gratian in Lugdunum, modern-day Lyon, on the 25th of August. Magnus Maximus, despite murdering the senior emperor of the West, did not seek to do the same to Valentinian, nor to Theodosius, emperor in the East since the death of Valens, proclaimed by Gratian, so he sent embassies to both rulers to further secure his position. The following years in Valentinian's court were relatively calm. The main issues were the religious tensions between the 3 major religious groups of the empire: Nicene Christians, Arian Christians, and pagans. In 384, the pagan orator Quintus Aurelius Symmachus pronounced a discourse to Valentinian II, motivated by the removal of the altar of victory from the Senate house by Gratian. On the other hand, the Nicene Christians, led by Bishop Ambrose of Milan, were also unsatisfied with their situation. In 385, they were denied the use of the Porcian Basilica in the imperial capital to celebrate Easter. But things got severely worse for Valentinian in 387. In the words of Zosimus, Magnus Maximus felt underrated by his colleagues and decided to cross the Alps to attack Valentinian and rule his lands. There's more depth to the matter than what the pagan Zosimus tells us. Magnus Maximus was a convinced Nicene Christian and, following Rufinus of Aquileia, sent a letter to Valentinian denouncing him for his heresy and then attacked to restore the Nicene Church in the lands of Italy. After some treacherous maneuvers involving fake talks of peace with Domninus, a trusted diplomat of Valentinian, Maximus launched himself to the attack. But Valentinian was quick, and he was able to escape by sea alongside his mother Justina to Thessalonica in the east under the protection of Theodosius. The aggression to a legitimate emperor and the previous assassination of Gratian made clear to Theodosius that Maximus had to perish. The alliance between the two Augusti was formalized by the marriage of Galla, Valentinian's sister, to Theodosius. In 388, Theodosius defeated Maximus in the city of Aquileia and restored Valentinian in Mediolanum, now ruling the entirety of the West. Remnants of Maximus's empire remained in Gaul under the rule of his son Victor, who was, however, assassinated by one of Theodosius's generals, Arbogast. His mother Justina had died on that year, so Valentinian held more responsibility in his government. He moved his court from Mediolanum to Vienna, modern-day Vienne in southeastern France. Free from the Arian influences, Valentinian sought to enter the Nicene Church, even calling Ambrose of Milan to baptize him. This, however, would never happen. Let's see why. The aforementioned Arbogast was a general of Frankish origin. He served under Gratian and Theodosius. He was named Comis Rei Militarius by Gratian to serve under Theodosius, with whom he would earn his successes, helping the emperor in the campaign against Magnus Maximus. He became one of the most trusted men of Theodosius, so he appointed him in 388 as tutor to Valentinian, who, despite having half of the empire under his authority, was still a teenager. He was also named Magister Militium in this same date. He extended his popularity with successful campaigns against the Franks, and his power grew so much that, in the words of Zosimus, he attained great power even to the point of speaking freely to the emperor and opposing whatever he liked. Valentinian, feeling redundant in his own power core, confronted Arbogast and, with a letter, he revoked Arbogast's dignity as Magister Militium. The Frank tore up the letter, arguing that Valentinian did not have the authority to dismiss him because he was not named by him, but by Theodosius. After some futile letters to Theodosius denouncing Arbogast, Valentinian appeared hanged in his palace. He was 21 years old. Such was the end of Valentinian's rule and life. His reign featured many important events, and in neither of these he was a protagonist. Ignored, controlled, forced, despite showing signs of a ruler, he never had the opportunity to assert his authority. A child who never asked to be emperor, and, when he was never allowed to rule. That's it for today, but don't worry, we're just getting started. Thanks for joining this historical ride, and get ready for more fun facts and stories in the next video. See you soon, time travelers.